Reggae! Reggae this, reggae that, reggae's everywhere! Cod reggae, experimental reggae, dance reggae, lame reggae! You know, I never really noticed trends in the music scene until someone points them out to me, but here I think I could point it out pretty easily. Reggae and dancehall songs have been dominating Billboard for about a year now, and aside from a couple duds, I honestly haven't minded it. Pop music's always aimed to be catchy, and as far as I'm concerned, any reggae edge only enhances that. Something about the sound of steel drums or Caribbean synths. Actually, I don't really know what kinds of instruments go into this kind of music. All I know is that I like the way it sounds, okay? And that's probably why I didn't think 2016 was all that bad for music, because I genuinely enjoyed a lot of the trends that were going on when they weren't being done by hacks like Maroon 5, of course. So I guess it makes sense that somebody who's been out of the picture for a while would want to come back into the scene using this trend. Someone like Ed Sheeran, maybe?
I'm in love with the shape of you. We push and pull like a magnet do.
This is Shape of You, one of the two lead-off singles to Ed Sheeran's upcoming album Divide. And well, Divide is right. Puns. But still, this song's really doing well so far. It got Ed his first #1 as an artist, which is something he wasn't able to do with even the second biggest song of 2015. Jeez. But now that Ed's one of the biggest names in music again, let's see how his comeback stacks up.
The club isn't the best place to find the lovers, so the bar is where I go.
Okay, you're gonna have to follow me on this because this is a bit of a tangent. For years, my English teachers have told me that it's important to start any paper you write with something that's going to immediately catch the audience's attention. Something to stick out and make the reader want to keep going. I assume that's the reason it's a habit for reviewers to give some sort of exposition before actually talking about the song they want to talk about. It's also the philosophy I imagine Ed took when he wrote this line. And I love this line in particular for a number of different reasons. First off, it comes after a few seconds of some very typical reggae instrumentation. I don't have a problem with the instrumentation itself, but it doesn't exactly push any new ground for the genre, at least not yet. But then suddenly you're greeted to Ed Sheeran stepping up to the mic to deliver a line that embodies everything he has to offer as a songwriter. His writing can often come off as overwritten, giving weird details and generally just sounding kinda dorky. And that's honestly what I've come to love about him. That combined with his almost rap-like flow turns what could easily become another typical dancehall song like Cheap Thrills into something that's distinctly Ed Sheeran. Also, I love the irony of this line in particular. Ed's swearing off typical songwriting cliches in dance music, but ends up embodying one anyway by looking for love somewhere quieter. Kinda brilliant in a way. Jeez, I went on for way too long on just one line. Ah well. The point is, Ed's got my attention now, and let's see where he goes from there.
Me and my friends sat at the table doing shots, tripping fast, and then we talk slow.
Okay, so we continue with more background information leading up to Ed meeting up with this girl. His friends and him are getting drunk, then he tries to get a girl to talk to him.
My hands stop, and the man on the jukebox.
And also apparently Van Morrison's playing on the jukebox. So that's nice. I like Brown Eyed Girl. It's got a nice bass solo. Really, what I like most about this song so far is the detail in the lyrics. The song's trying to tell a story after all, and details in a storytelling song are really important because you want to give the audience a good idea of what's going on. And this first verse does pretty well at that, actually. Where is Ed? In a bar that's playing Van Morrison. How's he feeling? Drunk and hopeful. You know what's going on, and you don't feel like he's dragging on with something that's unimportant. And then in the pre-chorus, he switches to trying to woo the girl over.
Girl, you know I want your love. Your love was handmade for somebody like me.
Oh my god, Ed. That was really corny. What were you thinking? Come to think of it, is there a pickup line in existence that isn't corny? I'm honestly not sure why we still use them. Or maybe they're like a pop culture cliche that only really exists in movies and music, like food fights. So yeah, I'm not a fan of that in particular, but the song seems to have a bit of self-awareness as to how ridiculous Ed is being here, because midway through the pre-chorus, this happens.
Say boy, let's not talk too much. Grab on my waist and put that body on me.
It's like she's saying, hey, you don't have to try too hard to impress me, we're drunk, you look cute, let's get to the good stuff. It brings Ed down to earth without being annoyingly self-deprecating. And now for the chorus.
I'm in love with the shape of you. We push and pull like a magnet do.
Honestly, this is pretty refreshing too. For one, it's surprisingly honest for the chorus of a love song. Most hooks in love songs try to reinforce that there's some deeper connection beyond sexual attraction. Even Ed's guilty of that sometimes. But here, he's admitting, I like you mostly because I'm sexually attracted to you. Now that attitude can come off as scummy, but this song is able to avoid that. Mostly through its framing. We see through the beginning that this has started out as a bar hookup and that these feelings are pretty much mutual. Plus, he never offered her anything more than he could give. Hell, the second verse even shows that they have some real chemistry.
We talk for hours and hours about the sweet and the sour and how your family's doing okay.
But in the end, it's the sex that keeps them coming back. And there's nothing really wrong with that, at least if you're asking me. I'm not gonna act like this is a groundbreaking narrative, but it's actually pretty serviceable and works as a topic for a song. It's pretty interesting. And then we get to the instrumentation. Yeah, like I said at the beginning, it's easy to tell that Ed was trying to hop onto the reggae trends of 2016. In fact, he originally wrote this song for Rihanna. Or about Rihanna, maybe? He did say that he wrote it with Rihanna in mind. That could mean anything. Also not the first time someone wrote a reggae song for Rihanna but ended up singing it themselves. But I'd argue Ed's got Sia beat in that category. For one, I think this song works way better coming from Ed Sheeran than it could have from Rihanna. It feels written more with his personality and quirks in mind. Rihanna's not really a storyteller, and she's definitely not as awkward as Ed comes off in this song. Of course, Ed Sheeran's one of the most adorable men working in music today, and I did not just say that, shut up. Plus, the instrumentation in general pivots way more to Sheeran than it does any other pop star I can think of. Even though it does have those exotic sounding xylophones, it's still backed up by acoustic guitars and what I think is a cajon. You know, one of those percussion boxes that you see at acoustic shows. Overall, this is a pretty simple, kind of repetitive arrangement. Which is why I assume some people don't like it, but whatever. However, I do like the attention to detail it has. For one, the second pre-chorus has a bass track going on while the first doesn't.
Girl, you know I want your love. Girl, you know I want your love.
I choose to think that this shows Ed getting more comfortable with the girl he's singing to since they've already hooked up and are hours into their first date. Also, speaking of the pre-chorus, I like how Ed harmonizes with himself during the second half.
Boy, let's not talk too much.
I mean, he's speaking for a girl, right? Makes sense that he would have some higher vocals to reflect that. And there are some other examples throughout. I'm just saying, even though the melody's kinda repetitive, it still progresses like a song should. Builds the stakes up, kinda like the video's homages to Rocky. At least I assume it's trying to parody Rocky. I think it's funny how all this just builds up to Ed fighting a sumo wrestler in the last chorus. That's kinda funny to me. But I'm getting off topic.
Come on, be my baby, come on.
Overall, this song and Castle on the Hill definitely have me interested in Divide later next month. This isn't quite his best work, but it's catchy and it tells an interesting story. It's Ed's take on one of the biggest trends in music right now, and he manages to make it his own. What could have easily turned into just another generic reggae song turned out to be much more than that, and I'm happy it finally gave Ed Sheeran his first #1. Looking forward to more in the future, you adorable Rupert Grinch lookalike. For now, take care.
I'm in love with the shape of you.